Welcome to the Velvet Story, where every tale is woven with longing, mystery, and emotion. Today, we unravel a story of identity lost and love rediscovered. What if you woke up in a world that was never meant to be yours? What if the man you feared started to fall for who you truly are? This is Not My Story, Chapter 1, The Stranger at the Coffee Shop. Dr. Arya rarely took breaks. Her name was listed on every major medical research board across the East Coast. Neurosurgeon. Consultant. Educator. Her calendar bled red from sunrise to 2 a.m., packed with procedures, diagnostics, and the occasional begrudging press interview. The only indulgence she allowed herself, besides tightly controlled espresso shots, was a 20-minute walk to the coffee shop 3 blocks from the hospital. And even that, she often skipped, but today was different. Her best friend and fellow physician, Dr. Shahana Patel, had threatened mutiny. "If you don't get out of this sterile prison, I'm canceling your 2 o'clock laparoscopic consult," Shahana had warned, practically dragging Arya by the sleeve. 15 minutes. That's all I'm asking. And maybe try not thinking about blood types while sipping caffeine for once. So here she was, dressed in scrubs under a camel coat, standing in line at Urban Bean Cafe. The place was cozy and minimal, all brass lighting and smooth jazz with an air of curated relaxation, completely opposite of their lives. Arya's fingers hovered over her phone. Scrolling through patient charts, still working? Shahana leaned over and squinted. "You know, most people open Instagram when they're on break." "I don't have Instagram," Arya replied without looking up. Shahana groaned. "You're a walking Harvard case study." The barista called out their names. Shahana went to grab their drinks. Arya turned, and collided with someone behind her. Her phone slipped from her hand, clattering to the floor. "Ah, sorry." A man crouched down, scooping it up with practiced ease. "Didn't mean to sneak up on you." Arya straightened her coat and looked at him, sharp-cut features. Neatly tailored coat. His presence was commanding, controlled, like someone used to rooms falling quiet when he entered. Not just polished. Intentional. Dangerous in that quiet way some people are, not because they speak loudly, but because they don't have to. His eyes met hers, and for a second, one suspended between heartbeat and breath, something sparked. Static behind her eyes. A flicker of déjà vu. No, more than that. A whisper of recognition that curled deep in her chest. But she'd never seen him before. "Thanks," she said, accepting her phone. He smiled faintly. His voice, smooth and rich, held the kind of cadence that lingered. "Be careful with it. You never know what stories are hiding in your data." Odd comment. But his tone was warm, almost teasing. He stepped back, nodding once, and moved toward the counter. She caught his name as the barista called it, Elias. It echoed in her mind like the first note of a song she hadn't heard in years. "Everything okay?" Shahana asked, returning with their drinks. "Yeah." Arya blinked and shook her head. "Just." Weird moment. Shahana followed her gaze and raised an eyebrow. "You mean hot CEO vibes over there?" "Yeah. He looks like someone who's either in a Netflix drama or running a secret cartel." Arya snorted. "Or maybe he just likes overpriced cappuccinos." They stepped outside, the cold air sharpening her senses, but Arya kept glancing back through the window. Elias was now seated alone, reading something on his phone, a thoughtful look on his face. People greeted him cautiously, like he was someone important, yet distant. Untouchable. It was probably nothing. Just a stranger. Still, she couldn't shake the feeling. Something about him pulled at her like gravity, quiet, magnetic. The moment felt like a beginning, but of what, she couldn't say. She would never guess that just hours later, her world would fracture, that the next time she saw Elias, he wouldn't recognize her at all, because she wouldn't be Arya anymore, not in name, not in face, and maybe not even in fate. Chapter 2, The Collapse. The ER hallway buzzed with tension, flashing monitors, clipped footsteps, and the scent of antiseptic clinging to every breath. Arya moved like muscle memory incarnate. She hadn't slept in over 48 hours, but exhaustion had become a silent shadow, always present but ignored. Another emergency. Another brain bleed. Her fingers flew over a touchscreen, zooming into MRI slices as she updated the surgical team. "You sure you're okay?" a young resident asked. Voice tight with concern. "I'm fine," Arya murmured, not looking up. "Book or 3. I'll scrub in after this consult." The lights above flickered briefly, just a blink, but Arya frowned. A wave of dizziness washed over her, sudden and strange. She blinked hard. The edges of her vision blurred like wet ink bleeding on paper, maybe just dehydration. She downed half a bottle of water and continued briefing the anesthesiologist. Her body was a machine, but the gears were groaning. She made it to the OR. They wheeled in the patient. Nurses prepped. Instruments glinted under the sterile light, and then, her hands slipped, just a fraction. Just enough, her knees buckled before anyone saw her fall. There was shouting. Cold floor. Blurred lights. The voice of the head nurse yelling her name. Then nothing but the distant sound of monitors, beeping, overlapping, and the deep thrum of her own heartbeat. Slowing, darkness, but not empty, voices. Echoes. None familiar. All overlapping. "She's not ready, you broke the sequence." No, she broke it. She was never meant to cross over. A sharp whisper, "Victoria Lang." The name rang out like a command, and something inside Arya flinched. As if her bones had heard it before. She tried to move. Tried to speak. But her body didn't respond. Like her mind had been cast adrift, detached from skin and sinew, her memories flickered like static. Urban Bean Cafe. Elias's eyes. That strange moment of recognition, then, silk sheets. Perfume. The weight of diamond rings on unfamiliar fingers, a mirror. Not her face, not her world, she gasped, air rushed into her lungs as though she'd been drowning. But the ceiling above her wasn't white tile. It was vaulted, gold-edged. A chandelier dangled like glass teardrops above her. She sat up too fast and groaned. Her head throbbed. Where was the beeping monitor? The pulse oximeter? The fluorescent light, instead, warm amber light spilled through floor-length windows. Velvet curtains. Mahogany walls. A sofa she would never be able to afford even if she worked another lifetime, and voices. Gentle, professional. "Oh, thank God, she's awake." "Ms. Lang?" A woman in a sleek blazer rushed forward. A man followed, holding what looked like a tablet. "Your assistant has been calling for you. Your fiancé is expecting a video conference. Should we push it back 20 minutes while you recover?" "Fiancé?" Arya repeated, her voice cracked and hollow. The woman hesitated. "Mr. Reed." "Elias Reed." Arya froze. "No. No, no, no." She stumbled to the edge of the bed and found her footing on the plush rug, ignoring the questions around her. Her heart hammered in her chest as she crossed to the mirror across the room. Her breath caught. The woman staring back at her had glossy waves of mahogany hair, soft designer silk draped around her frame, and emerald eyes painted with precision. Not her reflection, not her face. She barely heard the assistant's murmuring, "Should we call the physician again?" She hit her head. Maybe it's memory loss. But Arya's thoughts spun violently. Victoria Lang. Heiress. Fiancé to Elias Reed. The name echoed like a ghost of something half-remembered, and then, Shahana's voice in her memory. "Ugh, this book. His wicked vows. Why do villains get all the best lines? Victoria is so cold, so manipulative. Ugh, I can't believe you've never read it." Arya hadn't. She'd been too busy. She never cared about love stories or paper villains, and now, she was living one. Chapter 3, Not My Face. The door clicked shut behind the assistants, leaving Arya alone in the ornate bedroom. She sat on the edge of the velvet-draped bed, staring at her reflection. This wasn't a dream. The ache in her temples, the silk brushing against her skin, the cool marble beneath her bare feet, everything was too vivid. Her fingers trembled as they reached up to touch her own face. No, not her face. Victoria Lang stared back at her. The name burned in her chest like a brand: socialite. Heiress. The cold-hearted villainous fiancé from the book her best friend had ranted about on endless night shifts. Arya hadn't read it, but she remembered the gist. Victoria had betrayed the heroine, stolen the prince, and was destined to fall in ruin and scandal. A cautionary tale. So why was she here? A knock at the door. Arya stood instinctively. Before she could speak, it opened. He walked in without invitation. Elias Reed. Every inch of him was power and polish. Dark suit, sharper gaze, a presence that filled the room like gravity. His expression was unreadable, but cold. Calculating. And something else. Pain. Arya's breath caught. He was even more striking in this world. Harsher, colder, more beautiful in the way carved statues are, unreachable and unyielding. I heard you fainted, he said. She opened her mouth to respond, but his eyes were already scanning her. Not with concern, but suspicion. Save it, Elias continued, walking to the windows and staring out at the skyline. If this is some kind of ploy, Victoria, it won't work. Arya flinched. I'm not. She stopped herself. Not Victoria. But she was. He turned back to her slowly. You've been quiet lately. Since the benefit. Since your last tantrum, actually. His tone sliced like ice. But behind the distance, there was something raw in his eyes. Anger, yes, but betrayal. Arya's heart twisted painfully. Whatever Victoria had done, this man wasn't just angry. He was hurt. I'm not feeling well, she said, voice softer now, unsure if she was speaking as herself or pretending to be Victoria. Elias blinked once. His gaze shifted. For a moment, it softened, just a flicker. You look. He paused. Different. Arya wrapped her arms around herself. Maybe I am. That startled him. Just a bit. He approached, slowly. Studied her. There was tension in the air, unspoken history she didn't know, wounds she hadn't caused but now wore like a second skin. She didn't dare step back. His nearness made her chest tighten. Elias narrowed his eyes. Stop playing games, he said, voice low. I don't know what you're after now, but if this is another performance to gain sympathy, I don't want anything from you. Arya cut in, surprising even herself. The room fell into stillness. Her voice had been sharp. Too honest. His jaw clenched. No. That would be a first. He turned on his heel and strode to the door. But just before leaving, he spoke again, this time quieter, more like a whisper not meant for her. You wore my name like armor. Don't pretend now that you never knew how to use it. Then he was gone. Arya stood in the silence, heart pounding. He hated Victoria. That much was clear. But that flicker in his eyes. That moment where he almost saw her, there was more here. She opened a drawer in the vanity. Letters. Perfume. A heavy engagement ring in a velvet box. Her mind raced. This wasn't just a trap. It was a story, and she didn't know how it ended, but one thing was clear: if this world followed a narrative, then Victoria Lang was meant to fall. And Arya? She didn't plan on dying in someone else's story. Chapter 4, Villain's Role. You're late. The words were clipped, devoid of warmth. Arya stood just inside the conference room, trying not to gape at the sleek glass walls, the long table filled with suits and advisors, the skyline glittering behind floor-to-ceiling windows. She wasn't a doctor here. She was a liability in heels. She smoothed her skirt, something blood-red and vicious-looking, something Victoria would have worn, and walked forward like she belonged. Elias didn't rise. He sat at the head of the table, one arm draped along the chair, expression as cold as the chrome decor. His eyes didn't soften. Not even a flicker of recognition from the man who once helped her pick up a dropped phone. That was another Elias, she reminded herself. Another story. Arya took the empty seat beside him. The room smelled like expensive ink and sharper expectations. Elias turned to the others. We'll proceed. Miss Lang can catch up. Her mouth pressed into a line. He was testing her, and she had no idea what this meeting was even about. Spreadsheets. Merger proposals. Names she'd never heard. The screen changed slides too quickly. Arya nodded where she could, scribbled nonsense in a leather notebook, and prayed no one asked her anything. She could feel Elias watching her. Measuring her every blink, he expected manipulation. He expected performance. Instead, she stayed silent. Halfway through, someone mentioned a gala. Charity event. Red carpet. Paparazzi, you'll attend, of course? One of the older board members asked her. You've always been the PR ace in Mr. Reed's arsenal. Elias tensed slightly. Arya noticed, she hesitated. Of course. It came out quietly, almost uncertain. The board exchanged glances. Elias's jaw ticked. He didn't say a word. When the meeting finally ended, and the others trickled out, Elias remained seated. So did she. The silence between them was sharp. Heavy, he stood slowly, buttoning his jacket. You've done your research well. But you're slipping. Arya blinked. Excuse me? You're not reacting the way you used to. You're not playing the game. Victoria would have hijacked that meeting by slide 3. He stepped closer, voice low and dangerous. If you think acting weak will buy my trust, it won't. Her eyes met his. Maybe I'm just tired of pretending. That caught him off guard. A pause, then came the faintest tilt of his head. So what's the angle now? I'm not playing any angle, she said softly. I don't know the rules. Elias stared at her like she'd spoken in another language. For a long, tense moment, neither of them moved. Then he turned. Try not to embarrass yourself at the gala. Or me. He walked away, leaving her in the echo of her own confusion. Later, in the penthouse library, Arya found a photo album buried behind novels she didn't recognize. Inside were pictures, frozen versions of Victoria's life, Elias and Victoria at a gala. Cold smiles. Posed perfection, another photo, Elias and a different girl. Soft smiles. Sunlight. A time before, Arya's fingers stopped there, so that was it. Victoria hadn't just stolen the heroine's fiancé, she'd stolen Elias's heart, and crushed it, and now Arya was inside the body of the woman who broke him. No wonder he looked at her like she was poison, but he didn't know she wasn't her. Not yet. Chapter 5. Avoiding the plot. Arya didn't go to the gala. Victoria would have made a spectacle. Scarlet lips. Sequin malice. Photographers eating out of her hand. But Arya stayed curled on the velvet couch of Victoria's penthouse, barefaced in an oversized sweater, watching the news coverage from a distance. The media was already spinning. Victoria Lang absent from Reed Industries gala. Trouble in paradise? Cold feet or Cold War? Tensions rise between the heiress and CEO fiancé. She sipped her wine slowly, trying to ignore the sick twist in her stomach. The story was moving without her. Which should have been good. Shouldn't it? But the rules here didn't work like her world. And she was still stuck inside this one. The next day, Elias came home late. He didn't speak to her. Just walked past, loosened his tie, and poured himself a drink. The tension in his shoulders pulsed like a storm waiting to strike. You skipped the gala, he said without turning around. I didn't feel like playing dress-up for the press. Victoria always did. I'm not her. That earned her a glance, his voice lowered. That line's getting old. So is this game. He watched her with that same calculating coldness, but there was something else now. Uncertainty. Confusion. A quiet war inside him. What are you trying to do? He asked. Win sympathy? Change tactics? I'm trying not to become a monster, she said quietly. Elias stared at her. Then, unexpectedly, he walked away, no shouting. No cruel words, just silence, and it scared her more than anything. Over the next week, Arya avoided the plot. She skipped public events. Ignored meetings. Let the maids pick her clothes and wandered the city anonymously in simple dresses and flats. No tantrums. No manipulation. No drama, just quiet rebellion. She didn't see Clara, the supposed heroine. She didn't stir scandal. She didn't try to ruin Elias's plans. In fact, she barely crossed paths with him, but somehow, he still noticed, on a rainy Thursday. She found herself in the garden balcony of the Reed estate, an indoor greenhouse of blooming orchids and marble benches. She sat quietly, sketching a blurry version of her old hospital badge on a napkin. Aria 1, MD. It felt like someone else's name now. Did Victoria ever care about any of this? She whispered, care about what? She looked up, startled. Elias stood behind her, umbrella closed, a bead of water sliding down his temple. You're not wearing heels, he remarked. Does it matter? It's the first time you've looked small. He wasn't mocking her. He sounded thoughtful. Aria lowered her eyes. Maybe I'm not who you think I am. His voice dropped. I've been wondering that. For a breathless second, something passed between them. A subtle shift. As if the story cracked just a little, showing something unscripted. Then he said, stay away from Clara. I don't even know her, Aria snapped, frustration flaring. I'm not trying to hurt her. I'm not trying to hurt anyone. Elias studied her for a long time, then he murmured, but you already did. He left her standing in the orchids, heart pounding in a body that didn't belong to her, in a life she couldn't control. Later that night, Aria looked at herself in the mirror. She tried being passive. Neutral. Invisible, but it wasn't working. She wasn't escaping the story. She was still Victoria. Still the villain, and maybe, just maybe, this world had no room for redemption, unless she rewrote it herself. Chapter 6. The Wrong Woman. Elias Reed didn't believe in second chances, not for people who played games with hearts. Not for women who smiled with venom in their veins. And definitely not for Victoria Lang, the woman who once whispered forever while plotting his downfall. So why, lately, did he feel like he was staring at a stranger wearing her face? She wasn't arguing anymore. No dramatic ultimatums. No reckless press leaks. No expensive threats about walking away from the company if she didn't get her way. Instead, she moved like a ghost in the penthouse, quiet. Careful. Watching the rain, flipping pages of unread books, sketching things he couldn't see. Sometimes he found her asleep in odd places, on the chaise in the study, curled under a blanket in the conservatory. No makeup. No snide remarks. Just stillness. It made something twist in his chest. This wasn't Victoria. Or if it was, she had broken somewhere along the way, and the world hadn't noticed. But he had. One evening, he returned from a brutal board meeting to find her standing on the rooftop garden. She wasn't smoking. She wasn't even holding a drink, just breathing. Storm's coming, he said, mostly to break the silence. She turned. It already did. He almost smiled. Victoria hated metaphors. This woman spoke in them. Why are you doing this? He asked, stepping closer. What's the new game? Her eyes met his. Wide. Vulnerable. What if I told you? I don't know the rules anymore. That stopped him. For a second, he was 23 again, in a wine bar with a girl who looked like fire and felt like danger. He remembered falling for her too fast. Trusting too easily. He remembered betrayal, but this wasn't that girl. This one looked lost. This one looked like she was drowning, and no one else could see it. Later that week, Elias pulled out an old folder from his safe, a file labeled Victoria Lang, PR Legal. He'd compiled it during their worst days, her scandals, her manipulations, the lies she spun like sugar. He skimmed through headlines, heiress slaps in turn at fashion event. Lang versus Reed, power couple or corporate war? Victoria Lang spotted with rival CEO. Each line once made him furious. Now, it felt like fiction. He shut the folder. No, she wasn't acting like her, not even close. He'd watched her try to comfort the housemaid after a broken vase. She'd apologized to a driver for being late. She skipped parties, smiled only when she thought no one saw. And touched the piano in the music room like it was the only real thing left in the world. And then there were her eyes. Victoria's eyes had always been sharp. Strategic. Deadly. These eyes were tired. Honest. Like they'd seen things far beyond this world. That night, he saw her in the guest room, sitting on the floor, whispering something under her breath. A prayer? A plea? He didn't ask, but he leaned against the doorframe and said softly, "You're not her." She looked up sharply. "What did you say?" She whispered, "You're not the woman I knew." Her voice trembled. "That's because I'm not." Something deep inside him fractured, not in anger, not in confusion, but in a terrible, terrible hope. Chapter 7. Threads of her. The storm had passed, but the sky still hung heavy with the scent of wet earth and something unspoken. Elias wasn't sure what had drawn him home early. Meetings could wait. Contracts could be signed tomorrow. There was something about the penthouse lately, something that tugged at the edges of his thoughts. She was unraveling, and despite everything, he didn't want her to fall apart alone. He found her in the library, not the study where she usually sat with brandy and business reports, but the actual library. A forgotten wing of the penthouse with floor-to-ceiling shelves and a leather chaise no one had touched in years. Arya, not Victoria, never Victoria, was curled up in the corner, barefoot in silk pajamas, a throw wrapped around her shoulders, and she was crying, not sobbing. Not theatrically, silently, tears streamed down her face like they didn't need permission. She didn't notice him at first. Her gaze was locked on the spine of an old, battered medical book she must have found tucked between fashion tomes and poetry. Something in Elias's chest cracked open at the sight. He stepped closer, the floor creaked. She looked up, and didn't flinch. "Didn't hide, rough day?" he said, his voice low, careful. She stared at him for a moment, then nodded, wiping her face with her sleeve. "I didn't think you'd be back so early. I didn't think you'd still be here." A long silence, then she whispered, "I keep waiting to wake up." Elias tilted his head. "From what?" She gave a soft, bitter laugh. "From all of it." He sat down on the floor across from her. Not the chaise. Not a chair. Just the carpet between them, level with the woman who used to rule his world and now looked like she no longer belonged in it. "You're different," he said quietly. "I thought maybe you were playing a long game. But you're not." "No," she whispered. "I'm not." Elias leaned in slightly. "Who are you?" Her eyes flicked to him, wide, vulnerable, like they held the weight of 2 lifetimes. And then she said it, voice breaking, "I'm not her." The silence that followed was vast. He stared at her, unmoving. "I mean it," she said again, more desperate now. "I'm not Victoria Lang. I don't know why I'm here or how this happened, but I'm not her." She placed a hand to her chest, voice trembling. "My name is Arya One. I'm a neurosurgeon. I live in a city that doesn't exist here. I had a life, patients, people I loved. And now I'm trapped in someone else's skin." Elias's throat tightened. He wanted to deny it. Wanted to call it a breakdown or delusion. But the truth was, he'd known, somewhere, in his bones, he had known this woman wasn't Victoria. The rage. The pride. The coldness. It had vanished, and in its place was this, a woman with storm-touched eyes and a soul that didn't belong to this cruel, scripted world. "I remember you," she whispered suddenly. "Before all this. A coffee shop. You handed me my phone. You said something strange about stories." His breath caught. She remembered. She wasn't supposed to. That moment. That had been real. "I thought I imagined it," he said softly. Thought maybe it was just déjà vu. Their eyes locked, and for the first time, it didn't feel like they were pretending, not roles. Not reputations, just Arya and Elias, whoever they had been, whatever they were becoming. He reached out gently, brushing his fingers against hers, not for comfort, not for answers, but because in this impossible moment, touch was the only truth either of them had. Chapter 8. Between the lines, Arya stood beside Elias at the charity gala, her posture poised, her expression neutral, but inside, she was fraying at the seams. Her gown shimmered under the chandeliers, sapphire silk that hugged her like it had been designed for someone else's life. Because it had, they were surrounded by elite whispers and champagne flutes, the tall, distant, devastating, But when no one was looking, his fingers grazed hers, and she flinched, not because it scared her, but because it didn't.